History has often been unkind to the Kurds, a cycle of repeated betrayals. When a U.S.-led coalition expelled Saddam Hussein's forces from Kuwait in 1991, then President H.W. Bush encouraged the Iraqi people to oust the dictator altogether.
There's another way for the bloodshed to stop, and that is for the Iraqi military and the Iraqi people to take matters into their own hands, to force Saddam Hussein, the dictator, to step aside.
In response, Iraq's Kurds rose up against Saddam. But when his elite forces advanced north, the Kurds got no help. Millions fled to the mountains, and many others were slaughtered trying to resist. During the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, the Kurds were again enthusiastic allies, assisting American and British forces in their drive to Baghdad. When ISIS swept through Iraq, Kurdish resistance was crucial in keeping the militants at bay. In Syria, the U.S. turned to the Kurds there, the YPG, as key allies, the main ground force that led the liberation of Raqqa, ISIS's headquarters. But in both Iraq and Syria, the Kurds have been allies of convenience, deserted when no longer needed in the geopolitical chessboard. Last year, the U.S. stood by while the Iraqi military drove the Kurds back from territory they held during the fight against ISIS.
We thought that the people who were verbally telling us they were our friends and would support us, that they would have supported us, or if not, stay silent.
Now it's Syria's Kurds that face attack by Turkish forces as U.S. troops pull back. Turkey sees the Kurds as terrorists, allied to the insurgents in its own Kurdish areas. The modest U.S. presence has deterred a Turkish incursion and held the Syrian regime at bay. But President Trump has repeatedly threatened to pull U.S. forces out of Syria.
Let the other people take care of it now. Very soon, we're coming out.
Again in December last year, he announced U.S. forces were withdrawing, tweeting,
"We have defeated ISIS in Syria, my only reason for being there during the Trump presidency."
On both occasions, advisors persuaded the president to change course. But now he has given Turkey the green light to cross the border, in a move that stunned even his closest allies at home.
If he follows through with this, it'd be the biggest mistake of his presidency.
The Kurds themselves are separating the president from the people. The spokesman of the Syrian Democratic Forces, Mustafa Bali, tweeting,
"Despite the president's decision to pave the way for Turkish invasion, American people are true friends of the SDF."
The Kurds have made it clear they'll divert forces currently guarding ISIS prisoners to the front lines, with possibly dangerous consequences. Unsure of what their ally intends, they will, as they have done so often, fight for their very existence. Arwa Damon, CNN, Istanbul.
Two foreign-born donors who gave money to a Trump fundraising committee have been arrested. The men were charged with violating campaign finance rules. This is after they donated money to a pro-Trump fundraising committee that helped Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney, helped his efforts to investigate Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden. Let's go straight to Evan Perez. He is with me here in Washington. Evan, what do we know?
Well, Poppy, this is just coming in. We just got the charges that were unsealed by the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. But the two people that you're talking about are Igor Froman and Lev Parnas, and these are two people who are associated with Rudy Giuliani. These are people who Giuliani has said were his clients in part. And one of the things that they're charged with, I'll read you just a part of what the charges say. They say that these two men conspired to circumvent the federal laws against foreign influence by engaging in a scheme to funnel foreign money to candidates for federal or state office. And so, according to this, these men are charged with two others, by the way, with conspiracy, with making false statements to the Federal Election Commission, as well as keeping false records. Again, this is all just coming in right now. The two men were arrested yesterday at Dulles Airport, and they're going to appear before a magistrate today in Alexandria before we presume they'll be moved to Manhattan, where they're going to face these charges. Again, these charges were just unsealed up in Manhattan, and so we're still going through the details of what the government is charging these two men with.
Okay. In terms of the connection to digging up potential dirt or attempts to on the president's Democratic rival, Joe Biden, what do we know about that from what's just been unsealed?
Well, so far that is not mentioned. We can't see that it is mentioned in these documents. But look, we do know Giuliani has been very forward, been very open about his efforts to try to get this information from Ukrainian sources and try to essentially, put it into the mainstream here in the United States. And these two guys, who are Florida-based, by the way, were very central to that effort. Exactly what you're talking about. This is an effort that was based out of Ukraine, and the effort here was to try to dig up dirt on Joe Biden and to try to make sure that this was something that would become part of the election campaign for 2020.